Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. For those of you who are listening to this rather than seeing it, the title of this is called Beware the Temptation to Indoctrinate Your Children. And it starts with a quote from evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins. He writes, "Do not indoctrinate your children. Teach them how to think for themselves, how to evaluate evidence, and how to disagree with you. We care so much about our children that we want to give them our very best. And that can include trying to inculcate our most deeply held beliefs. And that's especially likely in three areas. First, the continuum between religious and atheist. For example, religious parents understandably want to send their children for religious training, maybe even to attend a all-day religious school. But many, if not most of those programs encourage the kids to be religious. Rarely is, for example, the case made for atheism, even though a reasonable case can be made for it. For example, one of psychology's core tenets, and this the text version of this will appear in Psychology Today, so I tend to give psychology examples. Anyway, for example, one of psychology's core tenets is that people are healthier when they have a largely internal locus of control. That is, that they have some agency, some influence over their lives. Yet the Bible is replete with urgings away from internal locus of control. For example, be not wise in your own eyes. God shall supply all you need. That's Philippians 4:19. It would seem that the wise parent should explore religiosity in full dimension with their kids, as appropriate to their maturity, of course. Another dimension on which parents very often tend to inculcate their kids is on valuing work versus play versus family. Foundational to the way we live our lives is our behavior regarding work, play, and family. Now, some people work long hours, not necessarily for the money, but because they believe that's a wise way to live life. Other people's core goal is the pursuit of happiness. Others are family above all, and still other people strive for balance across work, play, family, charity, and spirituality. A defensible case can be made for all those options. And in the absence of your exploring them with your kids are going to be predisposed to follow in your footsteps because parents are a central role model. But the wise parent would discuss the pros and cons even-handedly. And the third area in which parents are very often deeply motivated to inculcate their values in their kids is politics. Many people hold their politics dear and explain the wisdom of their position to their kids. Indeed, children typically grow up to adopt their parents' politics. But not often enough does that derive from a fair-minded consideration of the pluses and minuses of various views: socialist, liberal democratic, fiscally conservative, politically liberal, conservative, and libertarian. It's worth spending the time to explore those with your kids. Not only will you be facilitating their more actively developing their political views, but the process will likely improve their critical thinking overall. Now let's turn to helping your child become a freer thinker. Of course, your children, as all of us, are affected not just by parents, but the schools, the media, and their peers. But parents can certainly help their kids develop thoughtful positions. My first suggestion is that you fairly present differing views. In the aforementioned three areas, as well as others, make the best case, not the straw man case, for opposing views. Ask your child which is most persuasive to them and why. And when they disagree with your position, I know it's tempting to jump to defend it, but situation by situation, ask yourself whether that's wise, or whether it would be wiser to remain silent, or to acknowledge the legitimacy of their perspective, or to ask a question that might lead to more nuanced thinking. Another thing parents can do to lead to better critical thinkers, freer thinkers, not indoctrinating their kids, is to acknowledge your doubts. Well, here's an example. Some days I feel like redistribution is the answer. How can a humane society allow a huge gap between haves and have-nots? On other days I believe in meritocracy, that the world net most improves when we allocate resources to people with greater potential to improve the lives of humankind. Dear child, I'm wishy-washy about such issues, but what do you think? Pure certitude may be comforting, but it often oversimplifies. Wisdom usually resides amid nuance, the gray area, and the specific situation. The third way that parents can encourage their child to think for themselves and not just be inculcated with parental values is to expose your child to diversity of viewpoint. For example, with your older children, read the front page or the op-eds in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. Ask your child what differences that he or she notices and what your child thinks about them. It is difficult, but important for parents to pull on ropes of restraint, to model, to venerate, and to encourage full-dimensioned thinking rather than black and white thinking. That may be especially true when your child disagrees with you. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko. I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.